Football on the Big Ten Network is powered by Unleaded 88. Ohio State has yet to leave the shoe this year, their 5th consecutive home game. And today they welcome in the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, who are coming off their first loss of the season last week against the Iowa Hawkeyes. And the Buckeyes, with that number 3 ranking next to their name, coming off a blowout win here last week against Wisconsin, getting set to take the field. Over Notre Dame, Arkansas State, Toledo, and Wisconsin have yet to truly be challenged late in a game. And they've defeated Rutgers all 8 meetings. The 9th meeting in this series commences today here in Columbus. And here come the Buckeyes. C.J. Stroud and the Buckeyes getting set to go. It's also homecoming here today in Columbus. Sellout crowd yet again of over 100,000 at the Horseshoe in week number 5 of college football.
Of Dr. Michael Ibrahim, director of the School of Music at Ohio State, to honor America. Please rise and join the band in the singing of our national anthem. Stadium that opened back in 1922, and here we are in 2022 and ready for another game at the Shoe. And with that, we welcome you up to the broadcast booth. Brandon Gaudin alongside Joshua Perry. Ohio State, number 3 in the country, 4-0. They've been so good through 4 weeks. C.J. Stroud, Heisman frontrunner right now. We could talk about him and everything he's done so far, Joshua. But don't forget about 2 very talented running backs behind him in TreVeyon Henderson and Miyan Williams.
The supporting cast is extremely important because now Ohio State can run the football equally as well as they can throw the football. And getting to that running back room, it starts with TreVeyon Henderson. He is the lead back in this group. He can get downhill, but where he's most effective is in the wide open field, and this guy is a big play waiting to happen. Of course, the top end is there. Consistency is what he needs, but how about Miyan Williams? I mean, this running back is such a threat, getting downhill in this run game, opening up those lanes, and really creating plays when the plays aren't there. But when they want to bottle up the run game, when defenses want to take away the outside passing attack, Cade Stover is the guy that they go to. He's become a real X factor, being able to stretch the seams, but also a great blocking tight end in run protection. This guy is a real deal.
Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns last week in the win over Wisconsin. And you know what? The defense has been pretty impressive as well. Jim Knowles, his first season as defensive coordinator, and he feels he's got a real leader in linebacker Tommy Eichenberg.
Tommy Eichenberg has rewritten his narrative. You look to last year, wasn't the play that they expected out of him. This year, this guy has been phenomenal. And whether it's getting downhill in the run game, chasing guys in open space, pretty good in pass coverage as well, he is the leader of this defense.
So I mentioned it, but Rutgers has lost all 8 meetings against Ohio State. Will they have a chance today? Well, there are questions at quarterback. They've had injuries. Rick will fill us in on that in just a moment. But I know that you are really having your eyes focused on Johnny Langan, who's kind of the do-it-all gadget guy for the Scarlet Knights.
Johnny Langan is the one guy in the offensive game plan for Rutgers that can give Ohio State issues. They need to find as many ways as possible to get him the football. I believe he is the best in their rushing attack. I believe he's their best pass catcher. And I also think that he's their best blocker. So when they're non-traditional offenses, he's the way to go. But when you get more traditional, Evan Simon's going to be the quarterback that leads out there. He's a guy who gets the ball out of his hands very quickly, and he's going to need to do that today to handle this Ohio State front.
And for more on that quarterback situation with Evan and the others, let's go downstairs and welcome in Rick Pizzo.
Brandon, thank you very much. We do have some answers for quarterback questions that have been plaguing Rutgers for the last couple of weeks. Evan Simon is most likely to get the start today. Took most of the reps with the number ones during warm-ups. Remember, comes off a 300-yard passing performance in the loss to Iowa. Noah Vedral, who did not play in that game and who has been dealing with an upper body injury almost all season long, was a full participant in warm-ups. He looked fine, but I'm told by Rutgers that he is available but not expected to play. That could be significant because the other quarterback in the mix, Gavin Wimsatt, is in street clothes, traveled with Rutgers to Ohio State, but did not dress and is unavailable to play today. Who is ever under center for Rutgers will be dealing with a remarkably motivated Ohio State team. Interesting to hear Ryan Day tell me on Friday he and this staff have taken a calculated approach to coach with an edge over the past few weeks. Every game, every play. They want this team to understand it's not just about being better than the opposition, just not being more athletic. It's about the consistent excellence. Day said last year's team was too young, too immature to understand that. This year's team gets it, understands that's the only way you reach the ultimate goal, not just to win the Big Ten championship, but to win it all.
And, of course, that is the goal every year for Ohio State. And a familiar face on the other sideline, Greg Schiano, who was a defensive coordinator here under Urban Meyer in 2016, 2017, and 2018. Of course, Ryan Day was the offensive coordinator for 2 of those seasons as well. So those 2 guys know each other very, very well. Don't forget to download the Fox Weather app. Mid-60s, cloudy skies, a little bit of a breezy day with the remnants of Hurricane Ian southeast of here. Rutgers wins the toss, and they elect to receive the football. Jaden Fielding has it teed up. Cruikshank is back deep, and off we go. Week 5 from the shoe. Touchback. So the question, will it be Evan Simon? And indeed it will. He will be piloting this offense for the 3rd consecutive week. 3rd start of his career, starting against Temple in Iowa. Did some good things last week in the loss against Iowa, but they're going to need a heroic performance out of him today.
Yardage-wise, he was up there. You want to protect the football a lot better. I need to see him go out there and do that, but this is a guy who can get the ball off his hands pretty quickly.
Well, actually, we just got faked out. Psych, we were told it was Simon. It's Noah Vedral who gets his first start. He missed the first 4 weeks with an upper body injury suffered in camp. And not only does he get the start, he keeps the ball for a short 1-yard gain. So Evan Simon on the bench. Vedral his third year at Rutgers, a 6-year senior with a lot of experience, making his 21st start with the Scarlet Knights.
Yeah, now he's off the field, but that is a veteran guy that they have a lot of trust in. Getting back to Simon, a player who gets the ball out of his hands quickly, that has to be the game plan against Ohio State today. And again, back to protecting the football. That was the one thing that really killed Rutgers against Iowa.
So pick a quarterback, any quarterback. It's where's Waldo here, early first quarter. But obviously Vedral good to go, and Simon out there on the 2nd and 9 play. And a short carry by Kyle Monungai, the lead back, before he's wrapped up by Steele Chambers. So an early 3rd down test for this Rutgers offense.
Ohio State's shown in 3rd downs recently that they want to mix up the personnel, give a lot of looks to the front. Don't know if they go to that early, but that will be a feature in the game plan on the 3rd down package.
Simon still in the game. Langan in motion, the tight end. And Evan Simon. Pocket collapses. He's going to take off. And he stretches, but he's going to be a little short. About a yard and a half shy of the marker. And would Greg Schiano dare go for this? No, he will send out the punting unit. And I'm guessing if you're Greg Schiano, just showing Noah Vedral, Joshua, on that first play keeps the defense guessing a little bit.
You want to put as many items on the menu as possible. Rutgers offensively has to show some diversity to keep Ohio State on their toes.
It's a Rutgers team that got off to the 3-0 start with wins over Boston College, Wagner, and Temple, and then lost last week to Iowa at home 27-10. Adam Korsak, 5th-year starter. This is his 291st career punt. And it's dropped by Ibuka. And Rutgers has it. Melton jumps on it. How about a break for the Scarlet Knights right off the bat here? Emeka Ibuka, star wide receiver and a very good returner, muffs the punt.
Emeka Ibuka now is seen as a veteran player on this team. One of the cardinal sins in special teams as a returner: do not go backwards to try to field a punt. Bad things tend to happen. And Rutgers, with great coverage right there, able to drop right on the ball. But this is a play Ibuka's going to want back. You can't make critical errors like this in the special teams game.
Ibuka was actually listed on the pregame injury sheet as a game-time decision. There was no injury designation as to what is bothering him. But his first touch today, he bobbles, and Rutgers has the football. Keep in mind, I mentioned it's a breezy day. You wonder if the wind also was wreaking havoc on Ibuka. And coming in for a tackle for loss, Ohio State. They direct snapped it to the wide receiver, Joshua Youngblood. So Rutgers has run 4 plays on offense, and they basically used 3 different quarterbacks already.
Yes, you see the different quarterbacks back there getting into a wildcat look right there, trying to find some run game so they can get this drive started. Again, for Rutgers, diversity on offense. This Ohio State defense doesn't like to be confused. They like to take it to offenses, but Rutgers set the tone early on, saying we are going to create the chaos.
Well, and now they're lining up Johnny Langan, who's the tight end but has played quarterback. He has 8 starts as the quarterback back in the 2019 season. He's going to hand it off. Then they're going to try to throw it back. So Greg Schiano deep in his bag of tricks here as Steele Chambers drags him out of bounds. And that'll bring up 3rd down.
You know, when we talked to Greg Schiano earlier in the week, he said, we don't have as many trick plays on the menu, but we like to keep them available for games like this. So Ohio State defensively needs to be on high alert. Personnel changes, formations. Always know that there's going to be a trick component to every philosophy that's brought out offensively for Rutgers.
6-yard gain, now 3rd down and 6, and Evan Simon checks back in, the normal quarterback. Rutgers has struggled so far this year on 3rd down. Simon going for the end zone, caught, touchdown. Sean Ryan holds it in. And the Scarlet Knights strike first after the mutt punt by Emeka Ibuka. They cash it in on a 14-yard touchdown strike to Sean Ryan.
And the coverage right here, see defensive back, wide receiver going back and forth, but great ball placement by Simon right here, and a phenomenal job of going up to high point that ball by Ryan. Those are the types of plays Rutgers needs to be in this game.
Sean Ryan, the fifth-year senior, first season at Rutgers, his third different school, and it's the first time he's been in the end zone as a Scarlet Knight. Extra point is up and good by June McAtomney. And Abuka couldn't handle the punt. Rutgers and Max Melton jump on it, and a few plays later they're in the end zone with a 7-0 lead. Simon didn't technically get to start, but he does throw the touchdown pass. Greg Schiano back in Columbus, where he was a defensive coordinator for 3 seasons, and his team has run 6 plays. They've already had 4 different guys take a snap at quarterback. Bottom line, though, Joshua, right now they're up 7-0.
And he told us earlier in the week, all of his guys who got on the airplane felt like they had a chance to win this game. They all believe that they can win, and they came out with that type of intensity.
9th all-time meeting. Ohio State has won the first 8. And look at this! But Ohio State is ready for it. Ballard has the football, and Ohio State will have great field position. Greg Schiano is pulling out all the stops, and we've only played 4 minutes and 1 second.
He is chopping. He is swinging. I'm telling you, going for an onside kick in this situation, trying to capture some momentum, totally understand it. And this Ohio State offense can score from any position in the field, so not the worst gamble in my mind, but boy, is he getting aggressive early.
And C.J. Stroud, there's not much mystery for Ohio State at quarterback like there is with Rutgers. 16 touchdowns. He did throw his first interception of the season last week. And he hands it off to Miyan Williams for the first carry of the game. A gain of 2, 2nd and 8. Well, this offense, in addition to C.J. Stroud, as we've highlighted, they've got so many weapons, but Jackson Smith and Jigba Joshua once again out with that hamstring injury.
And the weapons have all stepped up. It's been important for Ohio State. One of the things we haven't talked about yet is this offensive line, and they've been much better this year in terms of changing the line of scrimmage. So offense certainly coming together at this point.
Stroud, 2nd and 8, and a quick pitch and catch, and there's Cade Stover. First down. Cade Stover had a coming out party last week with his first 2 career touchdowns, a gain of 12 there.
That was a mature play in my mind by C.J. Stroud, just to take the underneath route. They had some vertical routes going down the field, but he's not a guy who's looking to pad his stats. He's a guy who's looking to keep this offense on track.
Stover, we had a chance to talk to him yesterday. What a story. A guy who's had 4 position changes during his time here in Columbus, but he has found a home at tight end. Miyan Williams getting the call, slips through. Miyan Williams inside the 10 and all the way down inside the 5. 1st and goal, Ohio State.
Oh, man, Miyan Williams talked about it off the top. I mean, this guy is so good downhill. Look at him running to the outside. He looks like he's dead to rights right here, and then he's just able to slip through a crack, run through a tackle, and then get vertical. That is really good running back play, and Ohio State has 2 guys that they feel confident in that they can roll out there and win football games with.
32-yard run. And now Stroud strolls to the right. Pressure, and he gets rid of it as Tyrene Powell drapes him down to the ground. 2nd and goal. C.J. Stroud, the 16 touchdown passes he already has, tied atop the country for all quarterbacks. He right now is the leader, although it's only through 4 weeks, to win the Heisman Trophy. He hands it to Williams. Williams lowers his shoulder, and he's in. Touchdown, Ohio State. And there's an injured Scarlet Knight. Keontae Hamilton, big defensive tackle, is writhing in pain right now after that touchdown run by Miyan Williams.
And Greg Schiano out to check on him. A sophomore from D.C. who worked his way into the lineup this year. And hopefully he's okay here.
Yeah, hoping the best for that young man right there, but this Ohio State offense has been able to take over with this ground game, and it really starts with this running downhill. Look at Miyan Williams again, finding that seam, getting vertical, and then you need a touchdown. You're close to the goal line. Why not give it right back to the running back? That's really good football right there, a guy who can get you the tough yards.
And he ties this ball game up at 7 apiece. Keontae Hamilton, by the way, is now jogging off, so that's good news for the Scarlet Knights. A starter among that defensive front. But Miyan Williams, so many people talking the offseason about Travion Henderson. Miyan Williams has really kind of been, you know, the Robin to Travion Henderson's Batman. They are a good 1-2 punch.
And Ohio State always knew they had two of them back there. Miyan Williams now is really feeling confident in this offense and cementing his role as a back who should be getting a ton of carries.
Well, less than 6 minutes in, we've already had 2 touchdowns, a turnover, a failed onside kick. We've had a little bit of everything, but Williams is in and we're tied at 7. A lot of action early in Columbus. 7-7, 9:21 to go in the first quarter. Impact players here brought to you by Auto Owners Insurance.
For Rutgers offensively, a couple of wide receivers. Shameen Jones, a bigger guy on the outside. Aaron Cruikshank is a guy who can make plays all over the field. And then defensively for Ohio State, Tommy Eichenberg, the linebacker I talked about, gets downhill, can cover. And then Ronnie Hickman in that secondary, really the leader of the defense back there and a guy who can make things right.
Ronnie Hickman, a guy who actually originally committed to Rutgers as a lacrosse player when he was a freshman in high school, now a star in the secondary for Ohio State. From a yard deep, and Cruikshank, one of those impact players, will take it down to a knee. But keep an eye on Cruikshank as the game goes. 5 career return touchdowns. Okay, here we go. Quarterback roulette for Rutgers. They've run 6 plays and 4 different guys have taken a snap. We'll see who starts this drive for Greg Schiano's crew. How about that? I personally have never seen this in a football game. I don't know about you.
I have not either, but you do what you think is best to go out and get wins.
It is Vedral. Vedral is their most experienced quarterback. And again, he missed the first 4 games due to an injury that he suffered in camp. So this is his debut, and he's going to run it again. So he came in the first play of the game, had a 1-yard run. Here he runs it for 3 yards.
And Ohio State has to have answers for a quarterback run. We talked to Jim Knowles about this. He said when he installed the defense in the spring, he had answers built for each style of offense that they would see. So now you have to go to the answer book, quarterback run. How do you respond to it?
Noah Vedral was the starter when these two teams met last year in Piscataway. He had a touchdown, 3 interceptions, and was 16 for 26 passing in that loss. On 2nd and 7, he's going to run it again. Looked like a little miscommunication in the backfield, and that allowed Zach Harrison to get in behind the line of scrimmage and drop it.
And for Rutgers, you can't have the miscues on the snap. You're going to see right here, certainly miscommunication at the mesh point. Allows Ohio State time to get that penetration. Zach Harrison able to finish off that play.
3rd down at 7. And now it's Evan Simon in at quarterback. Simon out of the gun with some pressure coming. Lets it fly, nowhere near, out of bounds. Coverage was strong by J.K. Johnson. And Rutgers will punt the football.
And I mentioned in the first drive, Ohio State showing these guys up front. They had 6 guys on the line of scrimmage playing some single coverage back there, and it's tough for Simon to really settle into the pocket, find the guy that's open, and deliver an accurate ball. This is where this Ohio State defense has evolved to.
And you saw number 51, Mike Hall Jr., get in there and hit the quarterback, Simon. They really think that he has emerged among that D-line. So one of the best punters in the country back out there, but hold on, because we have our first penalty marker of the game. And it looks like it's going to be against Rutgers. Ron Snodgrass, our referee. Very fitting start to the game that Ron Snodgrass's mic would not be working, I would say. So back him up 5 yards and try it again. And keep an eye on penalties. Greg Schiano's been a little frustrated that his team has been averaging over 7 penalties per game. That's 22nd most in the entire country. Corsack, the Australian punter, boots it, and another risky catch for Ibuka. You can kind of see that wind is wreaking havoc. It was blowing behind the punter, and Ibuka had to track it down like a center fielder. 51-yard punt. Auto Owners Insurance bringing you the impact players on this side of the ball, Joshua.
Offensively for Ohio State, Julian Fleming at wide receiver, a strong wide receiver. Cade Stover is the X factor on this offense now. And then flipping to Rutgers defensively, Christian Isian is a safety who's going to play at all levels of the defense. And Aaron Lewis on that defensive line, a guy who is strong at the point of attack and has a high motor to finish plays.
Stroud back for the second drive, and he gets it out to Julian Fleming, but Rutgers is there to rally, keeping him near the line of scrimmage. T-Mobile studio update. Off we go to Chicago.
Well, Brandon, after Michigan State had tied it up, Maryland marching right back down, and Colby McDonald able to pound it in. Terps on top of the Spartans, 14-7.
Okay, Dave, and the Spartans, a team reeling a little bit, trying to get back on track. Minnesota got them really good last week in East Lansing. 7-7 with 7 minutes left in the opening quarter. Pass underneath Miyan Williams, and he steps out of bounds around the 30. So it's been a while since all of these teams won in these locations. And how about Illinois not only winning at Wisconsin, but dominating the Badgers?
I'm not necessarily shocked by that outcome. I think Illinois is a better football team right now. Brett Bielema is a heck of a coach, obviously motivated going back to Madison. That is a huge storyline coming out of the West, no doubt.
And Minnesota was off to such a good start. I mentioned their win against Michigan State. Well, they get beat by Purdue today at home. 3rd down and 8. Stroud complete. 1st down and more. There is Ibuka. And the ball came out at the end, but was he down? They're going to say, I believe he was down. Yes. Gain of 27. Remember, Ibuka fumbled the punt earlier. That's his first catch of the day.
He's got to settle into this game plan. You got to get
ruling on the field's runners down for a 1st down.
Got to get those negative plays out of your head and just settle in.
He leads the team in receiving with 442 yards and 5 touchdowns coming into this one. And there's the other guy that is really good, Marvin Harrison Jr.
He's going back to this one just to see that they got it right.
Yeah.
That knee was clearly down. He's got control of that football.
But he and Marvin Harrison, without Jackson Smith and Jigba, those have been the 2 guys that have really stepped up at wide receiver.
And Marvin Harrison Jr. is obviously talented, but Kevin Wilson told us he's a great practice player too, and that's making the difference for him at this point.
Each of those guys with 5 touchdowns already this season. Back to the ground at Miyan Williams. So we've yet to see Travion Henderson, but it's Williams who had the touchdown run, and here he picks up the 1st down.
Buckeyes pick up the 1st down.
It's been pretty even between the 2 running backs this year. Coming in, Miyan Williams 43 rushes, Henderson 50. And it's been all Williams so far today.
the play fake. And incomplete. In front of Harrison. Let's go down to Rick Pizzo.
Brandon, I believe the wind affected that throw a little bit. It has become a factor in this game. It's not that it's blowing remarkably hard. It's swirling all over the place. Start of the game, your television screen going right to left primarily, then from the top to the bottom of the screen, and now it's actually headed from left to right. We saw Emeka Ibuka fumble the first punt, struggle with the second one as well. Wouldn't be surprised to see a lot more focus on the run and the short passing game until this wind subsides.
All right, Rick, thank you. Second down and 10 over the middle, caught. There's Ibuka, and Ibuka's going to take Ohio State into the red zone. It'll be a first down at the 15-yard line.
It's a good all-around play for Ohio State, starting with C.J. Stroud, patient in the pocket. And then Ibuka's got this unique suddenness to his route running. You see he kind of comes off the line a little bit slow, and then he's able to pick up speed, get the yards after the catch. He's an impressive wide receiver, no doubt.
He's been impressive the last 3 weeks, all 100-yard games. And he's tracking toward that again with 2 long catches on this drive. Stroud hands it off this time. And that's Harrison in the run game. Stretches out. Lost the football, but they're going to say shy of the goal line. They're going to mark him out about a foot short.
In this type of game with the wind going the way that it is, you want to make sure that you can still incorporate the wide receivers. Get it to Marvin Harrison Jr., but look at this blocking out here on the edges, just moving guys around. Everybody's latched on. Creates a running lane for a really good athlete to get some yards.
Keep in mind, had he fumbled that through the end zone, it would have been Rutgers football on a touchback, but it went out of bounds before it reached the end zone. Well, just as I say that, Greg Schiano may want that reviewed.
Charge timeout. Rutgers, they're first.
Or maybe he just wants to talk it
timeout
over with his team. Either way, Greg Schiano has taken a timeout here. Another look at it. Did he fumble it through the end zone? Looked like he was out of bounds. We'll take a break and get some more looks at it when we return to Columbus. Oh, wait, now I'm told we're staying here. So hang on.
Looks to me as if that was out of bounds.
I agree. It was a tough angle to tell, and now Greg Schiano's talking with him about it. Ron Snodgrass wearing the white hat today. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear.
I believe so, too.
The correct call, which would put Harrison down around the 1 yard line for first and goal. Good time to welcome in Mike Pereira. Mike, it looks to us like this ball clearly was out of bounds and not fumbled through the end zone. What's your conclusion?
Well, we're focusing on the left toe, and is the ball coming out before that left toe hits the ground? And I think the ball is starting to come out of his hand. So if that's the case, you've got to take a look now and see if the ball broke the plane before the ball came out of his hands. It's a very close play. Again, just looking at, is that ball slipping out before the ball broke the plane? Because the toe doesn't hit until after that ball's out of his hand.
So, Mike, does the ball, if he did fumble it, does it need to be inside or over the pylon, or could it be fumbled outside the pylon and then be a touchback for Rutgers?
It could be, and that's what you have to take a look at. Where did the ball go out of bounds? Did it go, like you said, if it went out of bounds over the pylon, and we'll get the announcement coming up. Oh, they're not quite ready for the announcement yet. But yes, if the ball goes over the pylon, then it's in the end zone and a touchback. If it's out of bounds before crossing over the top of the pylon, then it would be just a fumble out of bounds. It's a very tight call here. And again, it's one they've got to piece together, and now we're going to get a call.
All right, Mike, and actually, Ron Snodgrass didn't even announce it. They're just going to say it is Ohio State ball at the 1, first and goal. And faking the handoff, it's Stroud. Now being tracked down. Throws it to the back of the end zone, trying to get in, and he did. Marvin Harrison. But hang on, there's a flag. Did he step out of bounds first?
See the officials without their hats on.
Number 18 went out of bounds, returned inbounds, and was the first to touch the ball. By rules, illegal touching, offense, lost it down to the previous spot, second down.
Yeah, you can only be the first to touch it coming back in if you were forced out, and they say that he went out on his own momentum. We've seen just about everything here in the first quarter, haven't we?
Man, it's putting us to the test today.
Watch him in the back of the end zone.
You see Harrison right there in the back of the end zone. Nobody's forcing him out. You see him step out right there, and now he comes back into the field of play. First one to touch the ball.
Yeah, good call. So now the I formation, Miyan Williams, who already has one touchdown run. Correction. Miyan Williams has 2 touchdown runs, and Ohio State leads it. So a pair of touchdown runs for Williams. He only had 3 rushing touchdowns all of last season. He now already has 5 in less than 5 weeks here in 2022. Extra point good by Noah Ruggles, and it's 14-7 Buckeyes.
And I'm just going to keep beating this drum. You talk about getting downhill. Look at the finish on this play. Running through a guy in the end zone.
Well, next Saturday, we're all Big Ten all morning. All the fun from Evanston. Big Ten Tailgate presented by TIAA. That's 10 a.m. Eastern next Saturday here on the Big Ten Network. Miyan Williams, 2 touchdown runs. Travion Henderson, we just got word, was actually a game-time decision.
Yeah, and that's where the importance of the depth in this running back room comes in. Henderson can't go. Seems like Williams is going to be the guy getting the bulk of the carries today.
No official word on what the injury is or the ailment with Henderson. We were just told right now, after the last commercial break, that he was a game-time decision. We'll see if he plays in this one or if they stick with Williams. So far, Williams having a great game with both of the Buckeyes scores. So now Rutgers goes back on offense, and we'll see who's at quarterback. It looks like it's going to be Noah Vedral starting this drive.
Now, these offenses have been different with the quarterback. So Noah Vedral's in, high alert for the quarterback run game. When Simon comes in, they have thrown the football more. So Ohio State needs to have that thought process as they get lined up.
So Vedral is going to fake the handoff and keep it again. You said it. Every time Vedral has touched it, he has run the ball so far. He has yet to pass it. There he picks up 6. And Vedral tapping himself out. And also Tanner McAllister is down injured for Ohio State right now. This is already a secondary that has been dealing with a couple of injuries. And we'll be back in 30 seconds to talk more about it. And last play, so he walks off. It's already an injured secondary, as I mentioned. Be tough for them to lose McAllister. Brandon Gott and Joshua Perry back with you. Such an interesting start to this game. Rutgers takes advantage of the bobbled punt by Ibuka. They get the score, but now Ohio State, they seem to have settled in.
They have settled in offensively. Things are on track. Defensively, it's going to be a tough game plan trying to figure out exactly what Rutgers wants to attack with their offense. We've seen the different quarterbacks in there. They all have a different skill set. So now it becomes a thinking game rather than just a reacting game.
Rutgers has been oscillating back and forth with their various quarterbacks. And Simon is back in there now on a 2nd and 4. Handoff up the middle, strong surge, and Samuel Brown, the 5th, gets his first carry, and he takes it for 6 yards and a first down.
You can see what Rutgers is doing is taking the edge off of Ohio State defensively. I mentioned it earlier. This is a defense that likes to attack. They want to make offenses react to what they're doing, and now they have to play a little bit more of the think, react game than they like to.
A lot of different things. We talked about, Greg Schiano, what he's doing offensively. The mastermind of the offense is Sean Gleason in his third year as offensive coordinator. So far, Rutgers 8 runs, just 3 passes. They're going to throw it here, though. Simon quickly out to Johnny Langan, and Langan out near midfield. But Sean Gleason, who when he came to Rutgers, he had come from Oklahoma State where he was in 2019. So the chess match today is he goes against Jim Knowles, who was the defensive coordinator with him in 2019 at Oklahoma State.
And this 3-safety defense that Jim Knowles runs is very complicated. It's tough to get a beat on. So Gleason has experience going up against that in practice. He probably has more answers than other coordinators typically would coming into a game like this. So now we're starting to see the chess pieces unfold here. And Gleason seems like he's got a pretty good beat on how he wants to attack this Ohio State defense.
Knowles a few more years in the coaching ranks at 57 years of age. Gleason yet to reach 40. And trying to hand it off again, but Ohio State's run defense is stout there as they drop Samuel Brown. Teron Vincent the first to get their loss of 2. But when they were only together 1 year in 2019, I would imagine there's probably not too many things that overlaps. I don't know how much of an advantage that would have for either side.
Well, and then both of these schemes have evolved over time, too, and that's what great coaches do. So maybe not overlap in what they're seeing, but you start to understand the way that the opposing side of the ball thinks and how they like to call it in practice, and maybe you can glean a little bit from that.
Both very bright coaches. Sean Gleason was a quarterback for Williams College at the Division III level, that was the offensive coordinator at Princeton before going to Oklahoma State, and now at Rutgers. 2nd and 12, flipped to the outside, and able to bring it in as the tight end, Matt Alaimo. So that'll bring up 3rd down here as we get towards a minute left in the opening quarter.
Well, some pass rushing bodies coming onto the field. Zach Harrison subbing into the game. This is a situation where Ohio State certainly likes to heat it up. You got a 3rd and longer. I'm expecting a heavy blitz right here.
Ohio State just brings 4. Stepping up, taking down, he lost the football. Simon fumbled it. Looked like Mike Hall Jr. got a hand on it first for Ohio State, and the Buckeyes have it. It is Mike Hall Jr. with a fumble recovery.
Boy, and Mike Hall Jr. came onto the scene the first couple of games of this year. A little banged up, production's gone down, but look at him just swiping that football out there. Great players always have awareness of where the football is at. It's a heads-up play, gives Ohio State a short field here and an offensive opportunity.
So Harrison, the former top defensive end in the 2019 class, jars it free, and then Hall, the redshirt freshman, jumps on it. And Greg Schiano talking with his quarterback after the miscue. And Rutgers went from up 7-0 to now Ohio State up 7 with the ball near midfield. Miyan Williams, big hole. Avery Young able to grab him. There's a flag around the line of scrimmage after a gain of about 10.
Holding. Defense, number 48. 10-yard penalty from the end of the run. 1st down.
So it turns into about a 20-yard play for Miyan Williams. Well, relive the Scarlet Knights' thrilling 2006 victory over Louisville on the big moment. Pandemonium in Piscataway Monday at 7 Eastern on Big Ten Network. Memorable game. Of course, Rutgers was not in the Big Ten then, but Greg Schiano was the head coach in his first stint. He was there from 2001 to 2011, left and then returned 3 seasons ago. Back on the sidelines, and here we go with another penalty.
False start. Offense, number 74. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Well, that one's on Donovan Jackson, so 3 seconds left in the quarter and make it 1st and 15. And they will wind the clock, and that'll do it for the first 15 minutes.
The end of the first quarter.
Entertaining first 15 minutes, that's for sure. Rutgers got on the board first, but Ohio State would strike back, and they lead at 14-7. Football on the Big Ten Network is powered by Unleaded 88, the clean burning fuel choice that's engine smart, earth kind. Ohio Stadium, 100 years. It's actually the 101st year of football here. It opened in 1922, but they're celebrating it as the 100th year today. It's also homecoming here for the Buckeyes, and they open the second quarter in enemy territory, up 14-7. First and 15 because they had the penalty and then a bad pass in front of Marvin Harrison Jr. T-Mobile studio update. Here's Dave Revson again.
Brandon, Penn State has taken the lead on Northwestern. Brenton Strange, his 3rd touchdown reception in the last 2 games. Nittany Lions have held the Wildcats to 13 total yards. It's 7-0.
All right, Dave. Continue to keep our eye on that. The rest of the scores around the league. As the 3rd-ranked Buckeyes have a 2nd down and 15. C.J. Stroud down the seam, caught, touchdown, Julian Fleming. A 36-yard touchdown pass, and for C.J. Stroud, he now has 17 of those this season with just 1 interception. That's a pretty good ratio, right?
It's not bad.
Ohio State also has 2 touchdowns now in their last 4 snaps as Ruggles adds the extra point.
I mean, C.J. Stroud is playing like a mature quarterback. Earlier on the drive, used the snap count to ID a blitz, and then his pocket presence, just being patient, waiting for the route to come open, and the combination allowing the middle of the field to become vacated. That is really good offensive football top to bottom. Coordinating, passing, catching, everything you want.
And Julian Fleming with his 4th touchdown catch of the season. And C.J. Stroud has been so good last year, finished 4th in the Heisman voting, and he's picked up right where he left off a season ago. So the last 3 games, 18 drives, 13 touchdowns, and today 3 drives, 3 touchdowns. That's pretty efficient on offense.
Efficient would be the word I would use there. That is correct, Brandon.
I mean, it has been so, and we talk about all the talent that they have at wide receiver and running back and quarterback, yes, but you still have to execute, and they've done it week in and week out so far. Crookshank will call for the fair catch, and we go back down to Rick.
Brandon, the Ohio State defense getting set to go back on the field without Tanner McAllister. He appeared a little bit unsteady as a member of the staff helped him into the medical tent. Did not spend very long in there, but came out and when asked by a teammate what happened, made some type of a motion toward his ear on the side of his left side of his head. And then as he began to lobby for his return to the game, his helmet was kept away from him. So I certainly don't want to speculate, but it appears to be some type of issue where they're making sure that cognitively he's ready to go into the game before they give him approval to do so.
And keep in mind, Tanner McAllister came from Oklahoma State with defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, and Knowles calls McAllister a coach on the field who knows the system better than anybody.
as Simon throws this into the ground. So that's a big loss for the defense.
And I asked Jim Knowles this because I'm curious about how you take it from the field over to the sideline and make adjustments. I said, who are the best guys at making adjustments? He said Tommy Eichenberg, of course, but Tanner McAllister was the next name that he mentioned as a guy who communicates what he sees out there on the football field, brings it to the sideline, and then they can adjust the defense based off of that. So that's another element that'll be missing is the adjustment process for Ohio State.
And that secondary does get Denzel Burke back today, but they're still without Cam Martinez. So injuries mounting for Ohio State on defense. Meanwhile, second down and 10 for the Scarlet Knights. That's out to Cruikshank, former Wisconsin Badger. Fifth-year senior now at Rutgers, and that'll bring up third down as he couldn't get to the sticks, a gain of 6. Feel like this is a third down conversion right now, Joshua, that Rutgers could really use.
As efficiently as Ohio State is playing offensively, possessing the football is important. Want to make sure that you can get some time of possession. Ohio State gets less chances out there. So critical play call and execution has to be on point.
Simon with a short drop. Flag flies, almost intercepted by Denzel Burke. Wearing a new number today. He was number 5. He switched to number 10, his old high school uniform number this week.
Offside. Defense, number 44, lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
So Rutgers gets a break. That's on JT Tuimoloau, and the Scarlet Knights keep it.
Yep, and there he was right there at the top. Just lined up in the neutral zone. Those guys up front have a hard time sometimes seeing whether they're lined up over the ball, whether they're off enough. Linebackers maybe have to communicate. You have to be aware of your location on the field. It's an easy conversion for Rutgers.
Ryan Day getting a quick explanation. Ryan Day, who is 24-1 against Big Ten opponents in his 4th year as a head coach. Only loss, of course, last year to Michigan. Up the middle, running through and then getting tripped up, Samuel Brown. First down gain of 11.
And Rutgers right there, just really good job up front of latching on to blocks. You're going to see a little bit of a gap scheme, but where that guard vacated ended up being the hole for the running back to get through, and just identifying where to be. Brown is a downhill back. It's one of the things he does really well. Gets the ball from the mesh point. It's a sprint to the line of scrimmage, and took advantage right there.
It's an interesting Rutgers run game, Josh, where they've had a different leading rusher in all 4 ball games so far.
I mean, their running backs, their ball carriers are all different guys with a unique skill set too, so they go based off of game plan.
Brown has been the bell cow so far today, and the freshman from Philadelphia gets it out to midfield with a gain of 3. But for the biggest Big Ten experience, there's no plus like home. The Big Ten Plus app powered by the Big Ten Network. Download it and subscribe now. Greg Schiano, most wins in Rutgers history, 79 of them. He passed Frank Burns a couple of weeks ago with a win over Temple. Trying to pull off the stunner today, but his team already down a couple of scores here in the second quarter. Faking the give to Langan. Underneath to Al-Shadi Salam, and he is quickly brought down by Steel Chambers. The former running back turned linebacker had him by the ankles.
And that's a great play by Chambers. This looks like we got a Buckeye down on the field.
Yeah, I think Tyleik Williams is down at the end of this.
But just a great play in recognizing where it was going. So much misdirection, and then to be able to hold on for the tackle, that's difficult work too.
Timeout on the field.
That is the big 320-pound defensive tackle, and we'll step aside. Tuesday, it's the season premiere of The Journey. Learn how Blake Corum trains to be Michigan's workhorse running back.
Meet Iowa punting sensation Tory Taylor as well. It's a Journey premiere presented by Auto Owners Insurance. That's Tuesday, 6 Eastern, Big Ten Network. So Ohio State had the injury to Tyleik Williams. He has left the field, at least momentarily. And Rutgers has a 3rd down and 14 coming up. But with all the quarterback shifting early, it seems like Evan Simon ultimately is going to be the guy to settle in here.
He's the guy who has gotten the bulk of the reps. You know, last week again, he played extremely well, had some mistakes in there, but pretty efficient day, so see why they're rolling with him.
He threw for 300 yards last week in the loss against Iowa, although a lot of those did come late. Swing pass on the outside here. There's Salam. He needed to get 14 yards, and he only got about 2 or 3. So the Scarlet Knights will punt it back to the Buckeyes. And another punt coming up for Adam Korsak, who is just 30 punts away from setting the all-time Big Ten record for 326 punts in a career. Abuka, who's had an interesting day back there fielding these with a win, calls for a fair catch inside the 10-yard line. Let's take a look at today's Built for Success, brought to you by Rocket Mortgage. And it is this matchup. Ohio State, I mentioned they're 8-0 against Rutgers, and all of the wins have been very convincing.
Offense has been able to be efficient like they've done today, have explosive plays. Defensively have played really well in these matchups too, but this Rutgers team is different. Greg Schiano feels like the guys are really starting to come together and embrace the culture. It's going to be a build process personnel-wise, but he still loves the guys that are out there on the football field right now.
Incredible that Ohio State is 3 of the top 5 on that list as far as margin of victory. From inside their own 10, here's Miyan Williams. And Williams out across the 20. Forced into the sideline, but no flag thrown. Gain of 13.
I mean, just look at this offensive line building a wall. They're getting vertical movement. It's something that Kevin Wilson talked about. And when you have a back as good as Miyan Williams, all you need to do is get a little bit of displacement on the defensive line, and he's able to take advantage of it. That is one of the more mature parts of this team from last year, is the way they've developed on the offensive line.
Miyan already has 62 rush yards. Now out to Julian Fleming. He had the touchdown on the last drive, and he's got a first down here. Rick, what do you have?
Few moments ago, Brandon, you saw defensive lineman Tyleik Williams come off the field limping a bit, injured his right ankle, went into the medical tent, now out of that tent and riding a bike. But as he came out of that tent, he was definitely favoring that right ankle. And much like Tanner McAllister, the helmet has not been handed back by the training staff quite yet.
Okay, so McAllister injured, Williams injured at least momentarily. We told you last drive, Travion Henderson game time decision at running back. We haven't seen him yet for the Buckeyes either. And Miyan Williams continues to get all the carries here in the backfield. Nice gain on the left side.
And it's the same thing that I was talking about the play before, just the ability to lock onto blocks, especially in space right there. It's something that's a more difficult feature in the run game. And you look to Rossi, who's a fullback tight end hybrid. You look to Stover. Those guys are great at doing that in the open field.
One thing Kevin Wilson did tell us about that offensive line, he said they could clean up their pass protection.
And that's going to be a work in progress for those guys as much as they've gotten that downhill mentality. You have to keep your quarterback upright.
But the ground game is working and close to the line to gain, maybe a little short there for Miyan Williams. That's going to be 3rd and 1 here. But you mentioned with that offensive line seeing the surge in the first 4 weeks, they have been moving defensive lines. See if they can do it again here. They only need a yard. Hand it to Williams, no problem. Needed 1, he got 3 out to the 45.
And, you know, going back to that surge you were talking about, we asked Ryan Day, you do a really good job running the football against Wisconsin, who's known to have a tough defense. Do you feel like the narrative on the toughness has gone away? And he said, it wasn't that we didn't have toughness last year, it's that we didn't have the consistency with it. And they read the press clippings, and those guys took it to heart, and you can see it now on the football field.
How good was Ohio State last week against Wisconsin? They got up 28-0. This time Stroud wants to let it fly. Pressure. And he does get it complete to G. Scott, the tight end, his first catch of the season, but it's also a flag down as well. As it stands for the moment, just a 2-yard gain on the reception. Official with his hat off. Wonder if G. Scott stepped out of bounds. Yeah, illegal touching. That's that signal, meaning Scott stepped out of bounds.
And there is G. Scott Jr.
Number 88 went out of bounds, returned inbounds, was the first to touch the ball. Illegal touching. Offense, number 88. Lost it down at the previous spot. Second down.
So G. Scott will have to wait for his first official catch of the season, as that one will not stand. Stroud, 2nd and 10 underneath, and the coverage by Christian Izzy, they say is clean, no flag, as he was in coverage against Cade Stover.
And I talked about Christian Izzy as a do-it-all defensive back, and this is a size mismatch right here. Cade Stover's a big man, Christian Izzy coming from the safety position, but you see him getting physical right here in the route as Stover starts to come back to the football. Little contact early on, they're typically going to let that go. It's a good defensive play.
Izzy, who had a great game against Iowa, 16 tackles and a sack. He's a 4-year starter for Rutgers in that secondary. 3rd down and 10, and Stroud lets it go, and it is caught. Juggling act. Wait, did Ibuka have it? They say no. Dropped it at the end again. And now 4th down and 10 for Ohio State.
And we'll get you to the end of this play right here. Just a really good job getting the hand in there, just creating some indecision, breaking up the ball. Becomes a lot harder for Ibuka to get that one. Got to focus and concentrate on it. You see the ball popping out right there at the end. That was singled up coverage. You have to make sure if your man gets loose that you can affect the ball.
So Ohio State scored on their first 4 drives last week. They scored on their first 3 drives today. But here on drive number 4, they'll have to punt the football. Jesse Mirko, he is also from Australia, like Rutgers punter Adam Korsak, and he sends it to Cruikshank inside the 10-yard line for a fair catch. 47-yard punt, 7:17 left in the second quarter. Scarlet Knights down 14 with the ball when we return. Ryan Day, what a start it's been for him as a head coach in his 4th season. 38-4, a couple of Big Ten titles, just the 1 loss in conference play to Michigan. Some of the streaks, 24 straight over unranked opponents, 26 here at home in a row over conference teams, trying to make it 27 today, and 8-0 all time is Ohio State against the Scarlet Knights.
You know, it's staggering when you actually see the numbers laid out.
Just 43 years of age. You know, you talked to him yesterday, and you realize, though, he's such a good guy. He's great with us, but the stress to be the Ohio State coach, he just said, look, last year 11-2, and it was a failure, and he understands that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very unique environment to be in because the standards are so high. And the rosters that are put together, the coaching staff that's here, the expectation should be that you compete for a national championship, but carrying that around all year definitely wears on a coach.
Of course, came here was the offensive coordinator 2017 and 18 under Urban Meyer. That's when Greg Schiano, now the Rutgers head coach, was a defensive coordinator. Day's team right now, their defense forcing a 2nd and 10. Simon, from the shadow of his own goalpost, tosses it over the head of Matt Alaimo, and Rutgers now facing a 3rd down deep in their own territory. They just can't seem to get anything going right now against this Buckeye defense.
No, it's been hard for them to get in a rhythm, and you see Vedral coming back in the game here. Curious if they go back to that quarterback run, and this is a part of the field where you don't want to take a chance if you're Rutgers, because turning the football over right here puts Ohio State right in scoring position, and we know what they can do when they get the ball back.
Rutgers, their longest play, 14 yards. They need 10 here. Watch the play clock. Well, they're going to have to take a timeout.
Delay game. Offense. Half the distance to the goal. 3rd down.
I thought Greg Schiano signaled it, but that's not the case. Instead, it's a penalty, and that backs him up even further.
You know, Coach looks a little confused right here, too. Not sure if he's trying to get his guys situated or trying to figure out what was going on there. But being in a backed-up situation is difficult regardless. But standing right near your own goal line going up against this Ohio State defense, have to be careful.
Simon is back in instead of Noah Vedral. But the officials are confused about the spot of this football right now. Because the ball definitely shouldn't be at the 8. Greg Schiano, I think, was saying he called a timeout. But Ron Snodgrass is saying
there was no charge timeout on the play. The penalty will be enforced. 3rd down.
But then you got to back it up half the distance, so it should be at the 4.
A lot of confusion.
Should be 3rd 14 at the 4. And 100,000 going to let him hear it. Simon going to try to take off. Nowhere to go. Coming up, Tommy Eichenberg, the captain of that Buckeye defense, to stop him in his tracks. And another punt coming up for Rutgers.
Eichenberg wasn't fooled by the quarterback draw. Again, a safe play call. Rutgers made the right move there, but Eichenberg just right there on the line of scrimmage, aware of everything that's going on.
Reigning Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week, which he shared with Iowa's Kayvon Merriweather, who was so good in the Hawkeyes' win against these Scarlet Knights last week. And now you got Korsak in the back of the end zone here trying to punt this thing. And it's going to take an Ohio State bounce and be down around the 40. Great field position after just a 33-yard boot. Well, Ohio State's had some great players, and oh, who's this?
Oh my gosh.
That's our analyst, Joshua Perry, who won a national title here, went on to be a 4th-round pick in the 2016 draft. You remember that guy, right?
Yeah, I feel like we just watched the same play about 4 times because I only made a couple really good ones out here.
Oh, come on. And you've been doing a fantastic job with us in the booth. And, gosh, all this, and you're only 28 years old, man.
No, it's been a lot of fun. Hey, you guys just, you make me sound good up here. You give me the lob, and I just do the rest.
So humble, too. Now, Miyan Williams getting to the outside. Another big gain. And for Ohio State, they're well over 200 yards of offense, 14 more there. Here is the star. But the Buckeyes looking really good, and on both sides of the ball. They had that slow start, but they're doing Ohio State things right now.
And the balance is what stands out to me offensively. Ohio State's gotten in this mode where if the run game's there, they're just going to take it. If the pass game is there, they're going to take it. But last year, a lot of times Ohio State looked one-dimensional. This is an offense that can hurt you with any type of concept.
And to that point, the balance today has been good. 102 rush yards, 116 pass yards for Ohio State. This time to the air. Stroud looking end zone, and it hit off the helmet of Melton. He's trying to get it to Harrison Jr., but Melton with the defense.
That was really good recovery by Melton. I mean, Harrison is a guy that we know that can make some freaky plays, but you get beaten coverage, you get turned around a little bit, double move, just keep fighting through, and then right off of your noggin. Great recovery right there. That's a player that doesn't quit.
Harrison Jr. had the touchdown earlier that was called back because he stepped out of the end zone and almost had another one there, but not to be. Outside to Fleming. Fleming did have a touchdown earlier. He's chucked out of bounds by Melton. Gain of 5, so a third down coming up here for Ohio State. Two for 3 today on third downs for the Buckeyes. Stroud 9 of 15. And I think they might use a timeout. Yeah, Ryan Day is going to go over, call the timeout. He wants to discuss things here.
Charge timeout, Ohio State. They're first. It's a full timeout.
They still have 2 timeouts. 4:08 left in the half. Back in Columbus, 21-7, Ohio State leading Rutgers. Now coming up this Friday night, big volleyball matchup. Top 15, the Buckeyes 6th ranked. 12th ranked Penn State will do battle with them at 6:30 Eastern Friday, powered by Unleaded 88 here on Big Ten Network. So Ryan Day takes the timeout. A third down and 5 here for Ohio State. Empty backfield. Rutgers rushes 4, and Stroud throws it complete. Harrison, there's a flag after the catch by Harrison Jr. For the moment, it's 6 yards and a first down.
Offside. Defense number 23 lined up in the neutral zone. Penalty is declined. Result of the play, first down.
So Ohio State will get the first down after all of that.
Yeah, these pass rushers in the neutral zone today. I mean, you know, got to have a little more awareness. We've seen it on both sides right now, but Ohio State with the conversion regardless.
If Ohio State punches this in, a 3-touchdown deficit intermission feels a lot bigger than 2 for a Rutgers team that has really struggled to move the football with only 73 yards of offense. Off the play fake. Stroud tosses it down the sideline for Mitch Rossi, but there's a flag, and it might be interference. He also stepped out of bounds, but was he pushed out of bounds? Remember, we've had a couple of receivers get penalties for stepping out of bounds, come back in and catching the football.
Pass interference. Defense number 17. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
So Deion Jennings back-to-back penalties now, and Ohio State's knocking on the door.
You can see the penalty right here. Clearly both hands on, not looking back at the football. Now you're trying to make a play as a defender, but you know that's going to get called every time. And give a little bit of leeway on contact, but that was a no-brainer.
Pistol formation here. Miyan Williams slips through and down to the 1.
You know, going back to that last play, the seam route is going to be wide open here. And as much as I've complimented C.J. Stroud on having that presence and that patience, G. Scott Jr., he would have hit that seam. He's probably walking in for a touchdown.
Now 2nd and goal. Miyan Williams again. Williams fighting, but Rutgers this time knocking it back for a loss. So 3rd down.
And those are tough plays for running backs. They like to string them out. I want to see a running back maybe put his nose in there. You know you're not going to be able to capture the edge. Just get up in there, push that pile forward, especially a strong back like Miyan Williams.
Yeah, you talked about his strength, 225-pounder from Cincinnati. This time they split him out. Empty set for Stroud. Stroud, 1 touchdown pass today. Looking for a second. Running, being chased. Gets to the outside and just has to step out for a big loss. Not sure why he didn't throw that. And we got another flag coming in. The flag is on the opposite side of the field from where Stroud stepped out of bounds. Loss of 12 there for C.J. Stroud.
Holding defense, number 6. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
That's 3 penalties down here that have really, really hurt Greg Schiano's crew.
And I know Greg Schiano is going to be miffed about it. I mean, these are the situations where you can't let Ohio State off the hook. And, you know, you're getting these crossing routes. You're going to see right here just grabbing, like, you got to let him go. The ball's going the other way. Have some more awareness to it.
Instead, 1st and goal. Stroud rolls out. Stroud tucks it. And he's going to be short. Looked like he was setting up the dive and then got hit and knocked out. 2nd down. Tyreen Powell will be credited with the touchdown-saving tackle. I feel like it might be Miyan Williams' time again here.
Totally agree with you. Get downhill, just push the pile, get all those guys in tight, mash them off the line of scrimmage, and let Miyan do the rest of the work.
He had 2 touchdowns last week against Wisconsin. He already has 2 here in the first half. Here's Miyan Williams. Gets the edge, reaches out. No signal. They're going to say short. Get another look at this, but 3rd down.
And you're going to see Miyan chasing that pylon right there. It looks like that foot is out of bounds. Tries to get the left hand on that pylon. Ball does not cross.
Deion Jennings wanted to shove him out. And, yeah, also you've got Ifan Maije, defensive tackle, down right now for the Scarlet Knights as well. Injury timeout. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Ifan Maije, the 6-year senior who spent 4 years at Temple, now his 2nd and final at Rutgers, gets up and walks off with a limp. Unfortunately, both sides a little plagued by injury today.
It's a physical game.
Rutgers, you think about their defense here, because of the penalties, this is going to be the 6th time that Ohio State lines up to snap it inside the 5-yard line on this drive here on this 3rd and goal. So their defense is being asked to do a lot. Well, Stroud tried to run it in. So did Williams. Where do they go here, Joshua?
They got big personnel-wise. You see 3 tight ends out there on the football field. So it's downhill. It's got to be downhill, or they're going to sneak one of those guys out and see if they can't catch Rutgers sleeping.
Well, hold on. Whistles.
Charge timeout, Rutgers. They're 2nd.
Rutgers.
It's a 30-second timeout.
And Greg Schiano will take the timeout, and we'll step aside for you and Jake, 2 of the young stars in the business. Great. And you'll be back in studio next week.
I will. I'm going to miss you.
Don't lie, but I'm going to miss you. 3rd down and goal here. Feels like the ball has been inside the 5 for about a half an hour for Ohio State. Stroud's going to sneak it. I don't know that he got there.
I'm not sure either.
They're signaling that he's a little short. Now, look, I think if you're Ryan Day,
you're going for it.
You're going for this, right?
Yes. You see it right here. Got a good look at it. You don't see anything coming out the other side of that goal line there. That was short.
Crowd is imploring this offense to stay on the field, and they are.
Ohio State needs to turn around, hand it to Miyan, downhill, A-gap, B-gap run, push the pile. I might even motion one of those tight ends in to a fullback position. Just get as much downhill momentum as you can get.
Ryan Day is going to take his second timeout.
Timeout, Ohio State. Their second.
4th and goal. We'll be back in just a... Rutgers scored first. Ohio State has since scored 3 touchdowns to go up 21-7, and now they're looking to do it again here. 4th down and goal.
And to reiterate, they've got Rossi in the backfield, exactly what they need to do. 3 tight end bodies in the game. Hand it off to Miyan Williams.
Whistles, and now Greg Schiano. No, yep, Greg Schiano's going to take a timeout.
Charge timeout, Rutgers. Their 3rd and final timeout. It's a 30-second timeout.
I really want to know how long that ball has been inside the 5-yard line. With the penalties, the failed attempts to score, since they got inside the 5, there's been 5 plays, 2 penalties, and 3 timeouts.
I don't know if we've seen something. We probably have. It's college football, but I'm not exactly sure we've seen this exact situation.
If you weren't with us at the start of the broadcast, Rutgers, the first 6 plays, they had 4 different quarterbacks take snaps.
Scoreboard operator, Ohio State has 1 timeout left. 1 timeout left.
Rutgers cannot call a timeout anymore.
New formation coming out of this timeout for Ohio State.
Yeah, no fullback. It's just Williams by himself. They hand it to him, and he walks in. 3rd touchdown for number 3, Miyan Williams. So he had 3 touchdowns all of last season, and now he's had 5 over the last 6 quarters of football.
It's been very impressive, and like I said, just the downhill presence. As a former linebacker, those are the running backs you like to avoid because those guys seek contact. They'll bring it right to you, and they don't stop.
Extra point good. 28 straight for Ohio State. Miyan Williams, after all of that, untouched. Back in 37. Buckeyes 28 straight unanswered with 48 seconds left in the second quarter. And more football coming up. Hoosiers and Huskers colliding under the lights in Lincoln. Presented by Hampton by Hilton tonight, 7:30 Eastern. Big Ten Network, Fox Sports app. Jaden Fielding kicks it away. This might be Rutgers' best opportunity. Cruikshank, all Big Ten returner the last 3 years, but only out to the 20. And Miyan Williams has been the story so far, Joshua.
He has been the story so far. Trevion Henderson unavailable to go up to this point. And Miyan Williams said, listen, I'll just put the team on my back. You want that physicality, you want that downhill nature, you can have all you want.
3 touchdowns for number 3, and last 3 games 13 for 18. Today 5 drives and 4 more touchdowns for this efficient offense. An offense that came in ranked 2nd in yards, 3rd in points per game, and they're doing it once more here in week 5. Samuel Brown with a run, no timeouts. I don't know how adventurous Greg Schiano wants to be here. Stick around. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups halftime report coming up shortly. And Simon's going to hand it off again. And Brown out across the 35. And it looks like that might be the last play of the first half.
J.K. Thompson. And Ryan Hickman on the tackle.
Well, they might run one more here. Another give. Steele Chambers is right there to tackle Samuel Brown, and that will right an end to the first half, which saw Rutgers go up 7-0, and then Ohio State rattle off the last 4 touchdowns. And an Ohio State team that has won 26 consecutive Big Ten home games. That's a record. Their last loss here at home in conference play was 2015 against Michigan State, and they're up 3 scores today against the Scarlet Knights. Let's go down to Rick Pizzo.
Ryan, why was your team so successful in dealing with that kitchen sink you saw early? 4 quarterbacks, onside kick, trick plays.
And we were prepared to expect the unexpected. You know, they're very creative in what they do. So I thought we did a pretty good job overall handling it. Now we got to make some adjustments and play good coming out of the third quarter. You know, we get the ball, so let's see what we can do.
Less than 100 yards allowed. What did you like defensively?
Just the way we're tackling, running the ball, identifying it. You know, overall, got the big turnover. That was good. And so I think we've won the field position game in the first half. Got to keep it going.
Travion scratched right before kick. Anything you can share with us?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing big. It's just, you know, we got to be sure if we're going to put him in the game. We weren't sure, and something that kind of came up, you know, in pregame, so we're going to be careful.
Thanks, Ryan.
And without Travion Henderson, Miyan Williams led the way with 3 touchdown runs, and Rick hit on it, but Rutgers just 90 total yards of offense there in the first half. Stick around. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups halftime report coming up on the other side of this break. (28-7), Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes leading it over Rutgers at intermission. Welcome back to the booth, Brandon Gaudin, Joshua Perry. I'm small. I didn't play football. He's larger. He did play football. Miyan Williams had more yards in the first half than Rutgers' entire offense. He had 3 touchdowns. He really led the way for the Buckeyes.
And it seems like we keep talking about Miyan Williams, but it's important to talk about him because Ohio State last year, the criticism was that they couldn't get the tough yards on the ground. And that's exactly what Miyan Williams provides them. And now they have that edge to where they can be balanced offensively. There's one thing that I would like to see out of Miyan Williams a little bit more is being more of a feature in the pass game, but that's not really what he does. What he does is he lines up in that backfield, gets the ball full speed from the mesh point, and punishes defenders.
And 91 of his yards, to your point, were on the ground in the 3 touchdowns in the first half for Williams. Now the quarterback comparison presented by Unleaded 88. For Rutgers, we saw several quarterbacks, but Simon settled in as the guy. And C.J. Stroud, I would say not a great first half. He missed a couple of throws, but all in all, Joshua, he was solid.
Yeah, 127 yards, 1 touchdown. Like, not the standard for C.J. Stroud. It's a very good half of football. I agree with you. He missed some throws. There were a couple of reads he might have been late on, but he showed really good presence in other situations. So consistency in this second half, locking in, focusing, and finishing off this game the right way.
And he and the Buckeye offense will have the ball to start the third quarter. Ohio State 8-0 all-time against Rutgers, and 7 of those 8 victories have been by 35 or more points, and up 21 at intermission. All 8 meetings, by the way, have taken place since Rutgers joined the conference in 2014. And wait a second. What just happened here? Here comes a flag, yeah. Well, so Jude McAtomney went up to kick it, didn't kick it since everybody else crossed the line. It's a penalty.
I'm not sure if the kicker thought that they were supposed to get tricky there and try to steal a possession with an onside kick, because look at his reaction right there. He kind of looks over and then sets up like they had planned maybe to do something. Miscommunication on the sidelines, but certainly an error.
And remember, in the first half, they tried an onside kick after going up 7-0. It led to a short field for Ohio State, and they would punch it in. And now the kick goes out of bounds. so that'll push the ball up further to the 35.
Bounds. Kicking team. Ball be placed at the 40-yard line. First down.
Already 2 penalties, and now we go down to Rick Pizzo.
Brandon, I think your partner is right. I think something tricky was up the sleeves of Rutgers on that kick to start the second half. I spoke with Greg Schiano coming out of the locker room. He said he liked the play calling, that they had to continue to be creative and think outside the box, but one play at a time is not going to do it against Ohio State. Said his team has to string some plays together. Defensively, he said he thinks his team is playing hard and really well, but he said, Rick, listen, those guys on the other side, they have some really good offensive players. We have to force a turnover, and we absolutely must keep them out of the end zone on this first drive.
Well, then we'll see if they can do that. This is a tough offense to corral. Ball at the 40 because it was kicked from the 30. Pass down the middle of the field, and it's intercepted. Avery Young picks it off for Rutgers. Then he gets popped by Marvin Harrison Jr., but just the second interception all season for C.J. Stroud.
I mean, that's the momentum that Rutgers is looking for right there. Come out at halftime, take the football away. Greg Schiano is a defensive coach. C.J. Stroud absolutely just forced this football down the field. I mean, 3 guys in coverage. I mean, everybody's converging on the ball down there. You have to take your chances more carefully if you're C.J. Stroud. I want to see him be choosy with the football. You don't have to get the big chunky yardage. You can just dink and dunk your way down the field. It's perfectly fine to operate like that too.
Ohio State's 2 turnovers, they both come on the first touch of each half. Remember, Abuka fumbled the punt on the first time Ohio State tried to get it in the first half, and now the first play from scrimmage in the second half, and Stroud throws the interception. So can Rutgers now turn that momentum into points? A short run for Al-Shadi Salam, a gain of 3. Well, it may be cliche, but if there's one thing I've learned from covering Greg Schiano teams, it's that no matter the score, they're not going to go away in this ball game.
No, and he talks about it too. You know, they talk about chopping. He talks about swinging. He wants his team to fight. And he believes that this team is bought into that level of fight. So again, come out early in the first half, maybe want to get a trick play, doesn't go your way. How do you respond? You take the football away. Now this offense has an opportunity to get Ohio State, but you have to take them one play at a time.
We've seen Greg Schiano go into his bag of tricks early on in the first half. We'll see what he has set up here. Deep shot downfield and a nice catch. Sean Ryan adjusted and brought it in against the coverage of Denzel Burke.
And Denzel Burke is the guy who was in coverage on the touchdown early for Rutgers. He played really well last year, struggled a little bit this year. And this back shoulder throw is just phenomenal. The placement right there is great. Ryan's the one who caught the touchdown earlier, but you can see the ball skills right here. Phenomenal job by him.
Prior to that, Rutgers had not had a play of over 14 yards. That goes for 26 to Sean Ryan. Ryan, who had the touchdown that you referenced earlier, spent a year at Temple, 3 at West Virginia, now in his final season with the Scarlet Knights. Samuel Brown up the middle, and a good surge. That offensive line has not been able to get much push against this defense, but there they provide enough space for 8 yards.
And again, you see this kind of ebb and flow with this Ohio State defensive front because they've got penetration in a lot of situations today, but also you see them give up some yards on the ground when maybe they're on their heels, they're on alert for trick plays. You just had an explosive go against you. Got to get consistent right there with this defensive line.
So a great response by Rutgers here out of intermission, getting the interception, and now they've got the football knocking on the door of the red zone, 2nd and 2. Brown gets it again, first down, as Chambers tackles him forward to the 17.
And Ohio State right there was caught in a blitz. They had a couple of second-level players coming right there. So if you don't hit it with the blitz, you create a space in the seam for the running back to get some yardage on the ground. This is becoming a really good drive for Rutgers.
Evan Simon, the quarterback, just went off, and Johnny Langan, who is the tight end, but again a guy who has played quarterback during his time at Rutgers, will take the snap on this play.
He's a do-it-all guy too. I mean, throw the ball, run the ball, anything you want out of him, he can do it.
And here he hands it off to Monengai. Bounced away from Proctor, but Chambers won't let him get away. Steele Chambers has made a couple of nice plays today.
I mean, you see the side-to-side running out of him. I believe he's right here. And just watch him in pursuit this whole play. A good read. He's patient until it's time to go. First defender can't get him down in Proctor. There's Chambers to clean it up. That's good team defense right there. Way I can identify really good defense, you change the line of scrimmage and are your guys in the back end running to the football.
Chambers, his first 2 years here, was a running back, but he was lost in the shuffle of all the talent back there. They switched him to linebacker after the 2020 season. Second down and 12. Nowhere to go. So it'll be 3rd and long after the tackle there by Jack Sawyer.
Ohio State got a couple of stops on 1st and 2nd down. This is a time to capture momentum defensively. I want to see this team get aggressive here. Jack Sawyer has been the move-around guy up front. I want to see him bouncing along that defensive line. Put some indecision into Rutgers on this 3rd down play.
Here comes pressure. Simon hit as he throws, incomplete. They were coming from all angles, and Simon didn't have a chance. 4th down.
And that's exactly what I was talking about right there. You're able to capture that momentum. You affect the passer when you get up on him. You don't have to get the sack always. You see Chambers, Hickman's running right there down the chute, able to get up on the quarterback, affects the throw, and it stops this Rutgers drive, their best drive of the day.
Yeah, Hickman, one of the guys to get in there, the guy who Greg Schiano helped to recruit here when he was still the defensive coordinator. So a 35-yard field goal, and that is up and good by Jude McAtomney to make it 28-10. That stops the run of 28 unanswered for Ohio State. Football on the Big Ten Network is brought to you by Auto Owners Insurance, simple human sense. And by Discover, the official credit card of the Big Ten Conference. Ohio Stadium opened back in 1922. First game on October 7th in 1922 was against Ohio Wesleyan. Buckeyes won that 5-0. More offense today, 28-10, with 10-12 left in the 3rd. But Rutgers got the interception. They at least got 3 points. So all 10 of their points have come off of the Ohio State turnovers in this game. Fair catch by Trainum. I mentioned the stadium opened in 1922. They had a dedication before the game celebrating, even though this is 101 years of football this season, celebrating 100 years.
Offside. Kicking team number 28, 5-yard penalty from the dead ball spot, 1st down.
Gene Smith, athletic director on the left there. As you know, having played here, quite an atmosphere, quite an environment. 473 wins in this stadium since it opened.
It's an impressive place to come watch a game. I enjoyed 4 years playing in here. It was some of the best memories I have, and 100 years, long time.
May have heard the penalty announced. That moves the football out to the 30. Look at this. See you later, Miyan Williams. One play, 70 yards, and Miyan Williams now with 4 rushing touchdowns. Gives him 161 on the day. Extra point is good, but there is a flag down.
Offside. Defense number 6 lined up in the neutral zone. Penalties decline. The score is good. Timeout.
35-10.
I mean, these guys are excited over on the sidelines, and they should be. First off, starting with the offensive line, open up a seam for Miyan Williams, and they say, you're a downhill back. You can't take it all the way down the field. He says, like heck I can. And you see the celebration with these guys, man. This is phenomenal football right here. Team ball.
Well, Miyan Williams, a very smart running back. When they create a big lane for you to go 70 yards, you go over and thank the offensive line.
Yes, and now let's take it a step further. Some of that NIL money, maybe go to Jeff Ruby, Hyde Park, the Avenue. Treat them to a nice steak, too. Why not?
4th rushing touchdown. First Ohio State running back to have 4 in a game since J.K. Dobbins in 2019. Fair catch. And a touchback. 10:01 left in the 3rd. We'll see how Rutgers responds. An offense that this year admittedly has been behind their defense. Their defense through the first 4 games has played really well, even though they've struggled a little bit today. But if they're going to have success the rest of the way, Joshua, that offense is going to have to pick it up a bit.
It is, and I think it starts with consistency up front. They don't consistently get the push that they need. Protecting the quarterback has been an issue. Last week, Simon got hit a handful of times at Iowa, and that affected their game plan. So I think it starts up front with those guys.
And certainly what hasn't helped has been the quarterback situation and dealing with injuries at that spot. Here, Simon is able to complete it to Aaron Cruikshank, and he gets it for 10 yards and a first down. But they had Gavin Wimsatt. He's still out, and they think he's a great running threat. Noah Vedral, although he's played today, has been limited. So until they get that quarterback situation solidified, might be tough for them to get into a rhythm.
And the injuries made that quarterback situation more complicated. I'm not sure how solidified it was going to be, at least early on in the year anyway, because that was a true quarterback battle. Greg Schiano wanted to see those guys compete, battle it out. He's got this wisdom on which quarterback probably fits the game plan best week to week.
That's Wimsatt in the black jumpsuit there. You see the boot on the left foot for him. Now they'll return to the run game. Samuel Brown, gang of tacklers, eventually bringing him down after a gain of 4. But I think when they're all healthy, at least on paper, Noah Vedral's the guy that has so much experience. He started some games at Nebraska and 21 starts for Rutgers so far in his career. But I don't know if he's not 100%, but he hasn't thrown the ball today. He's only run it when he's been in there.
And it is a little peculiar, especially when you have a guy who you know has a really good running skill set. Coaches want to make sure that they mix in the pass so defenses can't get a beat on them. But one thing I do know about Noah Vedral is he's got the respect of his head coach. Greg Schiano said once he's done playing, he'd hire him to be a guy on his staff. He said he's going to be a heck of a coach one day.
2nd and 6. Good surge there. Strong run and a first down gain.
Brandon, Noah Vedral only a runner today because that's what he's been doing this week in practice. As he starts to work his way back, he is helping run the first team offense and sharing some of those snaps with Evan Simon, who still takes the majority. But since that body, the injury has been an upper body injury, it has limited Vedral's ability during practice to throw the football. And that's why, at least as for right now, he is basically a running threat at that quarterback position.
Yeah, and last 2 years as the starter, 7 and 13. And just that's an injury that happened in camp. So they try to nurse him back to full health. 1st and 10. Trying to run away from the pressure. And look who it is again. Steele Chambers, who's had a really good game, tracking down Salam.
I mean, the closing speed from Steele Chambers is ridiculous. You see him right here again. Watch him track this play down. He's going to see the run, bounces outside, closes right in on it. That is uncommon from the linebacker position to have that burst to be able to close in. Used to play running back, so you can see the speed there.
He's got it, and you know we came on air talking about Tommy Eichenberg, but Chambers is making a name for himself out there in the linebacking spot.
Well, in this third quarter, Rutgers, this will be their 12th play. Ohio State's only run 2, but of course the Buckeyes had that long touchdown run. Samuel Brown starting to pick it up. That offensive line starting to create some holes. They like Brown. He's a 4-star true freshman who had a lot of offers, and he gets a gain of 8.
I mentioned early in the game about Brown, but this is a bigger guy. He can get downhill pretty quickly, but now we're starting to see the burst come alive as well. Once he gets to that initial level of the defense, he can get up on the second and third levels pretty quickly.
3rd and 2, but this has got to be 4-down territory for Rutgers, right?
Yes, it is.
Does Greg Schiano have 2 plays set already here?
I think he's got an idea of what he wants to go with on 4th down.
See if they'll need 4th. Low snap, Langan. He's not going to get there. And Johnny Langan, his knee was close to being down when he picked the football up. Let's see.
And it's a low snap right there. Got to go down to get it.
Did he get it off before he picked it up? Let's see. Boy, that's close.
That's really close.
I think the knee may have just raised above the ground before he picked it up. Just barely. The offense still on the field here. Direct snap to Monengai. And Monengai is going to be short. And Ohio State's defense forces a turnover on downs. Well, a bad sequence for Rutgers, and the Buckeyes get it back. Buckeyes, 3rd ranked in the country, up 35-10, getting the football back. Miyan Williams, 4 touchdown runs. He is 1 away from tying the school record.
Some good names up there. Keith Byers become a pretty good friend of mine as of late. Nice highlight of him running out of his shoe back in the day.
Well, guess what? Miyan Williams is a friend of mine now.
Oh, yeah.
What a story, though, that Miyan Williams has become. A guy who originally actually committed to Iowa State, flipped to the Buckeyes as a senior in high school. And it looks like he's made a pretty good decision. They fake it to him here. Flipped high to the outside. Good catch by Abuka. Gain of 5.
So my initial memories of Miyan Williams, I was doing a studio show for high school football my first year out of the NFL. And he's playing my Olentangy Braves in the playoffs, and I promise you he ran for 400 yards in that game.
Are you
No
sure?
exaggeration.
Wow.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
He was Mr. Ohio runner-up to Cade Stover, who is tight end for Ohio State. And here is Williams bouncing off a couple of would-be tacklers, sidestepping. Boy, he almost broke it. But Avery Young just got him by the shoestrings. Gain of 7.
Yeah, I mean, this guy he keeps his legs churning. It's one of the more difficult things as a defender. I mean, he's already got a thicker lower body, but his ability to pick them up and put them down makes it so hard to try to kill his legs and actually bring him to the ground.
Now, when he first made a trip to Columbus to visit in 2019, he weighed over 240 pounds, and he said he had a high body fat percentage. A lot of his friends were teasing him, calling him Fat Boy, but he has worked hard to slim down to 225. And some people may say slim down to 225, but he said he feels so much better at where he's at right now. And he can move for 225, that's for sure. Takes it to the 37. Next Saturday, a triple header. Purdue against Maryland, then some West Division matchups. Wisconsin Northwestern and Iowa battling Illinois. All starts with Big Ten Tailgate next Saturday, Big Ten Network. But whatever he planned, he's been on to get where he's at right now. I'd say it's a pretty good spot.
I mean, credit Mickey Murati and that strength and conditioning staff for getting his body into shape. And you're right, at 220, he carries it really well, moves efficiently, and he's got a lot of power behind it, too.
Stroud hands it off to Williams again. And look at this. Spinning the other direction. All of that. First down.
as Miyan Williams, without the services today of Travion Henderson, has been the guy at tailback, and it's been impressive.
I know he's got to be tired too. I mean, you know, reversing field, turning back out there. Look at that. That was really good. And then C.J. Stroud out there getting a key block on the first down. Go ahead and give the quarterback some credit too.
He hasn't had to do a whole lot today.
He has not.
Williams, who ran 40 yards there to gain 11. He now has 185 to go along with his 4 touchdowns. Now Stroud to the air. Just the 1 touchdown pass today. Buka trying to make it 2, but he'll only get to the 8 before Izzian drops him.
And then here's the patience again from C.J. Stroud, and it's really been an average day. We talked about that coming out of the half, but just sitting back. And look at this route right here. And Izzian's a very good defender, but Buka just able to shake him, create that space, and C.J. Stroud delivering an accurate pass.
4 catches, 70 yards for Buka, who's trying to make it 4 straight games of 100 or more. He was the top wide receiver in the nation in 2021. Stroud looking end zone, no, flag. That's Max Melton, who was defending Marvin Harrison Jr.
Holding, defense, number 16. Half the distance through the goal, automatic first down.
And the penalties mounting up for Rutgers.
Yep, we're going to see Melton right here. It's difficult because these wide receivers for Ohio State are so good, but as a defensive back, you really just have to trust your technique. Greg Schiano is a great defensive coach. Harrison Miyak over there has done a good job with this defense. You have to trust that technique.
Stroud off the play fake, back of the end zone, Buka no. 2nd and goal. Keep in mind, Miyan Williams, if they would give him the ball and he would run it in, he would tie his school record with 5 rushing touchdowns.
Do you think they're listening?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think, you know, C.J. Stroud, he's so unselfish, though. We'll see where they go here. I'm guessing they give Williams a try. Maybe not. They're going to roll Stroud out. Needs some help. Nobody's open. And he just gets rid of it. Aaron Lewis shoved him, and you see Stroud was pleading to get a flag, but he's not going to get it.
Yeah, he was looking for late hit out of bounds or unnecessary roughness right there. And that was one of those plays that's on the line. As a defender, it's difficult to try to figure out where you try to finish off a play and where you don't, but especially with these quarterbacks, most of the time you're better off pulling back, and there was no flag on this one.
So 3rd down and goal from the 4. Miyan Williams splits out wide to the right. Stroud over the middle, caught. Marvin Harrison Jr., touchdown Ohio State. Stroud's 2nd of the day, and for Marvin Harrison Jr., his 6th of the season. And Ruggles knocks it through. Buckeyes in control. A flag on the extra point.
Defense number 6. Penalty is declined. The score is good. Timeout.
42-10, Ryan Day and company rolling. The son of the NFL Hall of Famer, Marvin Harrison Jr. with a touchdown reception, his 6th of the season. So he, Ibuka, and Fleming near the top of the Big Ten charts.
The main reason for this is this Ohio State offense is just so explosive, but the secondary reason, Jackson Smith-Njigba has not been in the game plan, so C.J. Stroud has had to divvy the ball up to different wide receivers. They've all had chances so far this season.
Yeah, no word on when Jackson Smith-Njigba may return, battling that left hamstring injury from all the way back in week 1 against Notre Dame. But such is the case at Ohio State, where you can lose the guy who last year had a Big Ten record 1,600 receiving yards and 95 catches, and your offense is still this explosive.
I mean, Brian Hartline's done a heck of a job recruiting and developing that group.
Yeah, tremendous wide receivers coach. Doesn't hurt to get the top receiver in every class seemingly every year. Crookshank on the return. And down near about the 24. Mayhem moment brought to you by Allstate. Miyan Williams.
Short run by him, but just look at the finish of that play, the physicality. I told you, running backs like Miyan Williams seek contact. It's demoralizing as a defender.
A Mack truck running into Elijah Mack there for our mayhem moment, brought to you by Allstate. We'll see if he gets brought back onto the field to try to tie the school record. But his afternoon may be done. Simon nowhere near, threw that over the head of Chris Long, 2nd down. Simon came in 2020, redshirted, didn't play. Last year, 6 games off the bench in mop-up duty, backing up Noah Vedral, and now getting his 3rd career start here due to the injuries in the quarterback room. Was Mr. Pennsylvania football back in 2019. He's out of Mount Joy, Pennsylvania. And he's got a 2nd and 10. That time complete. Chambers with another tackle as he rallies to knock out the tight end Langan. Chambers, by the way, after that last tackle, has 11, including 8 solo stops today for this Buckeye defense. Inside of 30 seconds left in the 3rd. Simon hit as he throws, it's intercepted. And it's still Chambers. He's got 11 tackles. Now he's got a pick. The former running back doing it all today for Ohio State's defense.
You're going to see this coverage out of Ohio State. They're just dropping guys out, and it creates indecision on behalf of the quarterback. Now, I know there was contact with the pressure there, but these guys just make Simon hold it for another beat. And it allows this pass rush to get up on the quarterback. You don't always have to get a sack. Big Zach Harrison getting a paw up there, and you create a turnover. Really good team defense.
Yeah, Chambers with a pick, but that was a pretty easy one thanks to Zach Harrison. So now the ball goes back to Ohio State and C.J. Stroud. And Stroud trying to get to the end zone. Looking for Harrison again. He overshoots him. There is a flag, though, and I think we're going to get interference on Rutgers.
Pass interference. Defense, number 5. The ball be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic 1st down.
Penalty on Kassan Abraham.
Yeah, I keep going back to it. It's the hardest thing when you're going against talent like Ohio State has, but you see the grab right there on the nameplate. Certainly slowed Harrison Jr. down right there. Again, goes back to fundamentals. Doesn't matter who you're lined up against. You have to play it the way that you're coached.
I know that's not what this Rutgers staff is teaching. These guys, difficult, but really have to settle down in solo coverage.
13 seconds left in the third here. Handoff, and Williams, not a whole lot there, 2 yards. And that will wind us down to the end of the third. Ohio State looking for their 9th consecutive win over the Scarlet Knights. Football on the Big Ten Network is brought to you by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. This is just tremendous.
I hope everybody signed their waivers. I mean, they were hitting out there.
Yeah, cell phone flew out. Eventually somebody lost a shoe. And I don't know if that guy was involved, but he's having a good time.
Oh, yeah, they're partying out here.
And enjoying a 42-10 lead as we march on to the fourth quarter. Ohio State 200 yards on the ground. Obviously, most of those to Miyan Williams. He's got 187. Second and goal, Stroud. And it's dropped. Well, there's another flag. Melton was called a little bit ago for interference on Harrison Jr. We may have the same thing.
Take a look at this here. Yeah, he's early. He wraps him up.
Big place at the 2-yard line. Automatic first down.
You know, these back shoulder throws, though, for a defender are so hard. You feel like you're in good coverage. Next thing you know, you turn around. Guys coming back to the football. It's almost impossible to defend. Sound like a crotchety old former defensive player, but the back shoulder throw is certainly difficult.
You know, you're just a crotchety young former defensive player.
I will take that.
From the 2-yard line, Williams gets the handoff, and he's in. 5 touchdowns, tying the program record. No Travion Henderson today, no problem.
No, I mean, he's done it every way. He's gotten the tough runs downhill inside. He had the long touchdown run where he showed off some of his speed. I mean, the way that Miyan Williams has developed is something to marvel at. Got to give some credit to Tony Alford, to the running back coach here. Done a really good job with him.
Yeah, Tony Alford, tremendous. A flag comes in here on the extra point. I asked Ryan Day, I said, how do you figure out who gets the carries between Williams and Henderson?
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, kicking team number 77, his first of the game. 15-yard penalty on the kickoff. Timeout.
But Ryan Day said, well, Tony Alford decides that. Today he hasn't had to decide because there's no Henderson. Williams has stolen the show. Miyan Williams, first since '84, only the 3rd Buckeye ever with 5 rushing touchdowns.
It's been an impressive day. I mean, he had to shoulder the load, too. His running mate wasn't out there. Didn't affect him one bit.
He came in averaging over 7 yards a carry, which was 8th best in the country. And so far today, he's averaging 9 yards a carry. Because of the penalty, that backs the Buckeyes to the 20 for the kickoff. So an opportunity here in the return game. And taken off the bounce by Youngblood. And he'll get it out to the 49. You know, earlier I talked about how Greg Schiano hasn't been happy with the penalties that Rutgers has had this year. And today they have 10 first downs and 10 penalties.
It's a tough day. I mean, attribute a lot of that to what they're seeing out of Ohio State. He talked about the challenges that his team was going to face, personnel, and what they can do philosophically, but also from a discipline standpoint, with some of the more veteran players, at least, you expect them to be able to handle the moment a little bit better, so they'll be able to teach off of that for sure.
Simon hands to Brown. And a short gain for Brown. Look who's there to wrap him up, Steele Chambers. He's been all over the place today.
Yeah, a lot of talk about Tommy Eichenberg coming into this one, but Steele Chambers is showing why he is one of the top linebackers in this conference. You see the closing speed, but also give him a chance. Let him get his hands on the football, and he will make a game-changing play. This guy's really coming along. Jim Knowles talked about how he hadn't really seen the top end of what Steele Chambers can do, and he's showing that today.
Native of Roswell, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. And his 4th season as a Buckeye and a breakout season so far for number 22. Now on 2nd and 7, Simon. And he's been off on some throws today, missing there again to Langan.
You see some of those inconsistencies pop up with Simon. I was doing the tape breakdown, and I mentioned how he's got a quick release and can get the ball out of his hands, but when he struggles to set his feet confidently, the ball will sail. So from a mechanic standpoint, it's a guy who's got to focus on the lower body, making sure that he's set, and then get through that progression, but always restabilizing that lower body so you can get some more zip on the ball.
So 3rd down, but you got to figure they're working with 4-down territory here.
I think everything's 4-down territory from here on out.
Pocket clean, but he slides left to Simon, and incomplete. Flag does come out. Back around where Simon threw the football.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Defense, number 92. 15-yard penalty. Automatic 1st down.
Well, that's on the young freshman, Caden Curry.
And I talked earlier about, as a defender, understanding that line of when you can finish a play and when you have to pull up. That was certainly one where you want to see him pull back, a younger player, so this is a teaching moment. But now you're giving Rutgers more life on this drive.
They really have high hopes for number 92. 4-star talent from Center Grove outside of Indianapolis. Had offers from Alabama. Also considered going to Indiana. A lot of ties to that program where he grew up just an hour from there. Handing it off, and Langan is knocked down in the backfield. That's Stokes.
That's a huge play out of Kai Stokes, and we came here for the spring game. He was one of the guys that really flashed, and now with the thinness of this secondary for Ohio State, he's getting some opportunities. Flip it to a week ago against Wisconsin. He had a misfit, led to a big run for the Badgers, but you see him out here with that confidence to respond. That's a huge hit on a very good player.
Loss of 3. 5th tackle for loss today by this Buckeye defense. Flag flipped to the outside to Chris Long, and Long is brought to the ground by Josh Proctor.
Illegal formation. More than 4 players in the backfield. Offense. 5-yard penalty. No, the penalties decline. 3rd down.
Third and 14. We talked about how important Johnny Langan would be, and they haven't really been able to get him involved. Only 19 scrimmage yards for him today.
And they tried to utilize him in the backfield out of the Wildcat. He's had some targets that haven't gotten to him. You know, and he was the one guy I felt like gave them a real edge in their offensive game plan.
Ohio State's really neutralized him. They've also neutralized Evan Simon. And Simon's going to step out of bounds shy of the 30, and that's going to bring up a 4th and long. And I think if you're Greg Schiano, again, what? Look, you're not going to win this game, but why not go for it here?
Yeah, a field goal does you no good. I mean, you know, I know Greg Schiano personally, he doesn't believe in moral victory. He's got to get these guys going.
Simon over the middle, and that pass is broken up. There is no flag. They were trying to get it to Langen, but could not.
Timeout on the field.
Greg Schiano thought there should have been a flag. But another turnover on downs. Safety Josh Proctor was the one who broke it up. Ohio State's upcoming schedule brought to you by Fubo. Joshua, can anybody on this list hang with the Buckeyes?
Penn State has been trending in the right direction. Run game has looked much better than it did a year ago. That would be a team that Ohio State should look out for. The rest of them have issues that they're still sorting through at this point in the season.
Got the backups in there now. Kyle McCord, backup quarterback, turns around and hands it to the freshman Dallin Hayden. Four-star top 25 running back in McCord. In his second year has had mop-up duty the last 3 weeks, and he gets it again here today.
Joshua, not giving much credit there to Maryland, who played even with Michigan for 59 minutes and 54 seconds last week. Remember, the Terps mupped the opening kickoff. Michigan scored in the very first play. And then it was 27 each the rest of the way. Maryland appears to have the game in control against Michigan State today. Very winnable games at home next week against Purdue on Big Ten Network. Then against Indiana. Maryland could very well be 6-1. The defense is much improved. Talia Tagovailoa playing at an all Big Ten, if not all-American caliber level. I think this Maryland team is a scary, scary team, especially the way that they can score points for everybody in the Big Ten East right now.
Now they will be after the Indiana game, November 19th. Yeah, you mentioned Tagovailoa and the receivers that Tagovailoa has to throw to. That is a dangerous offense.
Dangerous offense. They've made improvements on defense as well. Those last 2 weeks for Ohio State are certainly going to be difficult.
But so far, the Buckeyes, after a little bit of a rough start against Notre Dame in the opening week, they've had it on cruise control ever since. Third down at 6. And G. Scott getting the reception. And he'll be about 2 yards shy of the marker.
Yeah, after that catch, I want to see G. Scott get vertical, get up the field. Don't try to make guys miss. He's a pretty big guy.
Rutgers has Wesley Bailey, defensive end who leads them in sacks this year, shaken up a little bit here before this 4th down and 2 play. They came in, Rutgers, with several injuries in their secondary. They had a couple season-ending injuries to linebackers before the season even got started. So they've been banged up on that side of the ball, but the defense has, before today, been really good.
They were behind the 8-ball personnel-wise, and that is certain. Greg Schiano pointed that out to us, but he also pointed out the way that his players have responded and the culture that they've built on that side of the football. So it's a double edge. I know nobody in that locker room is going to be satisfied with their performance, but these guys have been playing extremely hard all day long, and you give them a lot of credit for that.
See those team ranks, although they figured to drop after Ohio State's performance here in this one. Jesse Mirko, the 24-year-old punter from Fremantle, Australia. He is friends with Rutgers punter Adam Corsack. They texted this week. We're excited to see each other before the game, both from Australia. Oh, he's going to fake it and keep it, and why not? I mean, oh, and then a late hit. They're going to have to tack yardage on the end of this, and Cruikshank is the one that hit him. And Ohio State's bench didn't take too kindly. Now you got Melton in the mix, and they're going to have to separate. Greg Schiano comes all the way over from the other sideline to get his players out of the mess. Oh, and now Schiano and Ryan Day appear to be jawing at each other. Two men who worked together here for a couple of seasons under Urban Meyer in 2017 and 2018, and I think Greg Schiano took issue with a fake punt.
I mean, you can take issue with the fake punt. The look that he put out there with his punt block team was inviting it 100% of the way. Overload look, punter's got a little bit of awareness, pulls it down, you get the frustration penalty at the end of the play there.
I mean, certainly a situation I didn't anticipate in this game.
Well, I think you're hitting on it there, Joshua. I don't think that was even designed.
It wasn't. It was based off of the look.
I
mean, that's exactly what happened there.
After the play, personal foul, receiving team. Number one. The action by number one is considered flagrant and is ejected from the game. Unsportsmanlike conduct is charged to both head coaches of the teams. Their first of the game, those offset. First down.
So first down, Ohio State after all of that.
And I can draw it up for you. You see this overload look right here. All these guys are rushing. They've got more guys on that side crashing in than Ohio State would have been able to block over the edge anyway. It opens wide open for Mirko to run it.
And the wide receiver, Crookshank, is now ejected from the game after the hit. And then Greg Schiano came all the way over from the Rutgers sideline to the Ohio State sideline, and they got jawing at one another. Oh, boy. Well, pregame friendly chatter between Ryan Day and Greg Schiano, two guys who worked here in 2017 and 2018 together. And their remarks about each other have always been positive, but after that last play on the fake punt, Greg Schiano comes all the way over, and they were pretty heated, jawing at each other.
Yeah, and I want to be very clear about this because, you know, maybe you want your punter to have a little bit more awareness to just let it go in that situation. But the look on the field, those guys crashing down, bunch of grass in front of him, like, I don't think Ryan Day was intending for that to happen. And if that was the issue between him and Greg Schiano there, it's a tough situation. I know those two guys have a lot of respect for each other.
By the way, there was a 6-yard run before that by Hayden. They're going to give it to him again, and he this time is brought down in the backfield by Miyan, so that'll bring up third down. But yeah, again, we both agree. I think the punter was just making a decision on his own because
he's just playing football.
And Greg Schiano, though, is angry. Things haven't gone how he wanted. And
well, and you brought up a good point. We were in the break, but he's got to show his guys that he's got their back too. And that's how I would want my head coach to respond in that situation as well.
Yeah, I mean, players just, you go right down the line. You hear them talk about Greg Schiano, glowing remarks about him and what he's done since his return at the helm there at Rutgers. As this one is going to be incomplete, there is no flag. They say the coverage cleaned by Kassan Abraham on Ballard. So fourth down now. But yeah, I think to a point, Greg Schiano's just trying to get his troops fired up and ready for what's coming up on the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, he's a competitive man, you know, and so any of these situations, I know it doesn't sit well with him, and I've watched him coach before. When he was coordinator here at Ohio State, I could see the fire in him, so not shocking whatsoever. It's just unique seeing a couple of guys who are known as friends in the industry getting after each other like that.
Yeah, and I'm guessing after the game they'll both say, hey, we just got heated, didn't like it. They'll probably shake hands and go their own way. And a fair catch, good punt by Mirko down inside the 5, who faked it earlier and caused all of the drama. We'll have that post-game handshake for you. Could be interesting. 7:53 to play. All right, Dave. Greg Schiano. A moment ago, heart rate still elevated. He was trying to get his guys amped up here before this next drive.
It's the passion of the coach right there. I mean, this guy has an edge to him, and he has been ignited at this point, trying to get his guys to finish strong.
Well, they've got tough field position. Going to try to just run it with Langen. And he'll get him some breathing room out to the 10. They got off to the 3-0 start, Rutgers. Last week they hosted Iowa. It was their first sellout in Big Ten play in 6 seasons. And they just couldn't get the offense going. Now you drop to 3-2 here, but I still think this is a team that could be on their way to another bowl.
Yes, they had to win those first 3 games, and I thought they looked really good, especially in situations where things didn't go their way. They found a way to respond to it. Now you're looking down the Big Ten East schedule. It's certainly difficult, but this is an improved team to me. I like their chances. I mean, you get a Nebraska team that's wounded. Indiana, I don't know what they really are right now. You know, they've got a couple wins still out there. You just got to find their way to 6.
Now on 2nd and 3. And a good surge and a first down. Speaking of Indiana and Nebraska, by the way, they are coming up tonight under the lights in Lincoln. Big Ten football presented by Hampton by Hilton. 7:30 Eastern, Big Ten Network, Fox Sports app. Yeah, Indiana, it's been tough to make much of what's going on with the Hoosiers. You also have a Nebraska program, obviously, with a change at head coach, and they're very much in flux right now.
Yeah, Nebraska is coming off of a bye week, I believe, as well. So it was time for them to regroup and press the reset button, see if they can't get everything aligned. Indiana, many things that I like about them, many places where I see that they're still deficient. So going to be a challenge for them to pull it all together.
Samuel Brown is escorted out of bounds. Well, you heard the guys in studio, and Jake Butt said this Ohio State team will go as far as his defense can kind of, he said basically the offense isn't the issue. How good is his defense? How good do you think this defense is?
I think this defense is improved. We talked to Jim Knowles, and he thinks there's a long way to go. I agree with that statement from him. I believe there still is a long way to go, but I'll also throw this out here. If Ohio State is consistently giving you 40-plus points, this defense is good enough to win those football games. So I think that the improvements there, you can see the shift in the mentality and the aggression that exists too.
Well, that offense came in averaging 49 a game, and they've done it again. Here's pressure, and down goes Simon. Coming off the edge with the pressure, Ryan Turner, the freshman, a corner blitz, and he dropped it for a 6-yard loss.
Just coming off the edge right there. Can't even see him, can't pick him up. That's a great play for a young player. Again, just got through talking about the aggression of this defense. They've created many negative plays today, and that's what they want their identity to be.
Yeah, 6 of them, 6 tackles for a loss. This is the stage of the game where Buckeye fans kind of get a glimpse of the future with these young guys out there. 3rd down and 9. Simon, well, it's just been a tough day. 10 of 19, 74 yards passing as he puts that one in the dirt. 4th down, and they'll punt it. Well, you talked about Jim Knowles coming in as his first season as a defensive coordinator after being under Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State. Paid $2 million a year to fix this defense. As you said, he thinks there needs to be some improvements, but I really think they like what they've got in Jim Knowles.
They do, and he has really changed things around. The thing that's happened for this Ohio State defense is the players bought in immediately to what Jim Knowles was telling them and how he was going to help them improve. I think that was the first step right there, but as they get guys healthy back in that secondary, I think this defense takes another step.
15-second break, and we'll be right back to Columbus.
With Sonic's 2 for $5 menu, you get 2 delicious things for only $5, which is helpful if you struggle with decision making. The Sonic 2 for $5 menu.
Sonic.
So Ohio State's defense gets another stop. You mentioned some of the guys that have been dinged up. Cam Brown, cornerback, missed again today, as did Cam Martinez in that secondary. And earlier we saw Tanner McAllister, who's a really key piece of the puzzle, go out with injury.
Yes, and it's tough. Nobody wants to deal with injuries because your 2s aren't as good as your 1s. Ohio State has recruited at a really high level at many positions, so the depth aspect of it is better than what most teams would have. But you're talking about high end, especially as you get into the meat of this Big Ten schedule, they're going to want to be all hands on deck.
There's McAllister staying on the sideline but never returned to action. New quarterback in the game. They hand it off to Hayden. He's tackled for a loss. So now you've got a freshman and a quarterback in Devin Brown joining Hayden, the other freshman at running back.
Devin Brown is a more athletic quarterback. They like the profile, his ability to extend plays with his legs, even get involved in the run game if necessary. And Ryan Day has talked about creating opportunities for these guys to get valuable reps in game situations.
He was a number 5 rated quarterback in this past year's class. He originally committed to the USC Trojans, but then flipped over to the Buckeyes. Had a lot of suitors coast to coast. And there's Hayden again, who this year may be playing third fiddle behind Henderson and Williams, but they really like that freshman out of Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, he's running it really hard too, and again, to bring up running back coach Tony Alford, but he's done a phenomenal job of recruiting top-end players and then developing these guys. And you know, Hayden's still a young player. His body looks right, and when I came by during training camp, they said there were going to be opportunities for him. Mostly he's gotten them in late games, but as this season starts to go on, we might see him work his way into the rotation.
Well, Hayden gets another opportunity and almost broke it. Almost slipped through completely. Instead, he takes it to the 45-yard line, a gain of 15.
Take another good look at this one. Hayden with the vision, cuts it up, gets vertical. That's a good job by a young running back. A lot of these guys, when the plays are designed to run to the outside, they don't take that inside opening. They want to take it all the way to the sideline, but he saw that space and got vertical.
Dallin's dad, Aaron, was a running back for the Tennessee Volunteers in the early 90s and played 4 years in the NFL. And his brother, Chase, is a senior running back at Illinois right now. And young brother Dallin gets another tote and takes it to the 43, short gain of 2. Well, coming up after the game, stick around. Big Ten Live Football postgame presented by State Farm. They'll break down all the action from Chicago. Ohio State now 250 rushing yards in the game. Just imagine this offense when Jackson Smith and Jigba returns, right?
Yeah, that's the missing piece right now. We mentioned the production from the other wide receivers and now integrating the tight ends as pass-catching threats. But Jackson Smith and Jigba is one of one, and what he can do, certainly you want to have back in this offense.
Yeah, they've had so many good wide receivers here over the years. And you think about recently, you go back to last year, Wilson and Olave, they were the stars. They're now on to the NFL. Jackson Smith and Jigba, though, was the one who set the single-season record. He's back this year, but injured. So as you're talking about Abuka, Harrison, and Fleming, they step up into bigger roles.
Yeah, and I mean, last year those guys didn't get a ton of run. It was really the top 3 wide receivers and then everybody else kind of getting in sparingly. And you see, just from that year of learning what they're able to come out and do early on in the year, all of those guys have been impressive.
And even though at tight end Cade Stover wasn't needed today, you know, there was one theme from yesterday's meetings that stuck out to me. It's how impressed these coaches are with Stover and those tight ends and what they can present to this offense.
Yes, Stover's ability isn't just a run-blocking tight end, a tough, gritty guy. We watch him get down the seam when teams take away the outside receivers and they take away the run game. We watch a guy who's a leader on the sidelines and in the locker room as well. His value to this team is immense, and now we're just seeing him as a feature in the game plan.
He's switched his position 4 different times during his career, but Ryan Day sees him as an NFL tight end, and he's been pretty good so far this season. Trying to keep it out of the end zone, but Ohio State cannot. Well, it's all window dressing at this point. 15 seconds left, and we'll step aside for 15 seconds.
Lift off. Woo. Hey, you can't stop what you can't catch. You can't catch what you can't see. I'm so stealth, you ain't get the message. 'Cause I ain't wanna fail, ain't no plan B.
Well, curious to see the post-game handshake between Ryan Day and Greg Schiano after the fireworks we saw earlier in the shouting match between the two. I'm guessing it'll be back to friendly nature. We'll see.
That would be my assumption. That would be my assumption. 2 professional coaches.
Yeah, they just heat of the moment.
Yes.
Football, all of that.
Yep.
15 seconds left here as Rutgers takes over. And that should write an end to this one. And the Buckeyes are going to remain perfect, 5-0, and now 9-0 all time against Rutgers. And two former colleagues shake hands. And it looks to me like Ryan Day was maybe explaining what happened.
I think that's exactly what happened. Just wanted to clarify with the guy he has a lot of respect for.
Ohio State, they got down 7-0, but they quickly bounced back and they win it 49-10. For Rick Pizzo down on the sideline, Joshua Perry's done such a good job up here in the booth with me. I'm Brandon Gunn signing off from Columbus. So long, everybody.